Today on Great Places Seen, we travel from Florida to Texas in the push west, staying ahead of rare southern snowfall, but not entirely escaping the cold. There are sights along the way as we roll our wheels high over, well under, and far across the deep south. Hop to it, put a star on the map, as we check out some Texas-sized beachfront. Good morning and hello from Holt, Florida, very close to the Florida-Alabama line, and I'm at Blackwater River State Park, just heading out. It's a rainy day, but despite the rain, I had a really nice time looking at the park. If you have not seen the last video, check it out. I really recommend this park as a stay off of Interstate 10 if you happen to be traveling through the area and need a place to stay. Today is all about the journey. Today, I am moving west along Interstate 10. I'm going through what's remaining of Florida, then Alabama, then Mississippi, then Louisiana, and on to Texas. Yes, all in one day. Why? Because this is the weekend and Louisiana would not let me stay one night. I had to have a minimum 2-night stay at a Louisiana state park. And sure, I could go to a campground or find someplace else to boondock for the night, but I'm trying to hop state parks along the interstate as I move west. So, because Louisiana would not let me stay just one night, sorry Louisiana, we're not checking you out on this trip. Maybe on a future trip when we can stay longer or just one night. But Texas doesn't seem to care. Texas is a big state and there are a lot of parks. So the Texas state line is just in reach for me today. It's a longer drive, obviously, but it's not my longest leg of this journey. It's real close, probably 490 miles today, and in a little bit of rainy weather. But we're gonna do it. We're gonna get there, and I think you're gonna like the state park that we're ending up in. So sit back, enjoy the ride, let's have fun on the journey, see what we see, and then find out where we end up for the night. The sun is already trying to peek through the clouds. That's good. For the most part, this road is straight as an arrow. At least here. This is US Route 90. I'm heading west. It parallels Interstate 10 for a long way. I've seen lots of exit signs for US Route 90. Nearly a 100-year-old road. Next year will be the anniversary of the U.S. route system, 2026. If you happen to be watching in the future, then it's already happened. Well, this little town even has a very nice paved bicycle path. Look at that. Yeah, if you're doing a long bicycle ride, that could be a good route right there for part of your ride, or all of your ride. I don't know how long this trail goes or what it is, but it has paralleled 90 for quite some distance. Speaking of bicycles, I keep mine right here in the back. I don't have a bike rack. It is super simple for this bike to take the wheels off. It fits in the car and the seat back there. I don't get road grime all over it. I don't mind getting dirt from the trail on it, obviously, but it's very easy to store just in the back seat. And you know, being a Gates and Pinion Drive bicycle, it's belt driven. There's no chain, there's no grease, there's no grime. It's just a belt and a bike. Very clean. So I don't have to worry about getting anything dirty. I don't have, my hands are clean. Super simple to take apart and put together. So that's why the bicycle rides in the back seat and not on a bike rack. I knew there was a grocery store up here from looking at it on the map, and I wasn't going to stop, but after I passed the grocery store, I realized I wanted to stop there. So I've made a U-turn, and I will show you why. Piggly Wiggly is a very southern grocery store. I'm familiar with it because I spent some time in the South. This Piggly Wiggly does not look like the typical store you see. Tight turning radius, and it doesn't look too busy, so I'm going to take up a few spaces because I'm just in and out real quick. I want some hot dog buns. That's it. That's all I want. This one actually has the pig out front. You don't see that at all the stores. And of course, you got the name up on there. But most of them look like a big box grocery store that we're all used to. This one is a real homespun Piggly Wiggly. Actually, this store is really deep. Man, it goes back there. You got a ton of stuff in here. This is a very well-stocked store. My goodness. Inside, they told me at the counter they're expecting possible snow here on Tuesday. Haha, that's very unusual. The rain is back. We are departing Piggly Wiggly. One more fairly immediate stop for gas, and then it is on. And you can see that rain cloud. I mean, it's just right there. Oh yeah, it's coming down. They say an inch of rain is a foot of snow. So if it were cold enough and they got all this rain, I don't think they'd be ready for it. At least I see a little blue sky peeking through there. I stayed at Blackwater River, and that is adjacent to what? Of course, Blackwater Bay. Now, while it said Blackwater Bay on my map, the sign back there said Blackwater River. You gotta love it. 3 lanes wide, no waiting. Pensacola, just 15 minutes away, an hour to Mobile. Driving across country is a long trip. I'm spending significant time on the road. So for this series, I'm including proportionate video time showing my journey from the driver's seat. I hope most of it is interesting enough to watch, but if you'd like to skip ahead and just explore the destinations each day, feel free to click on the later chapters. All right, thank you, Florida. Way down here along the Gulf Coast, traveling through Alabama and Mississippi is pretty fast because you just get these little tips of the state that I-10 pushes through. Only about an hour through Alabama. I was really getting low there. It was kind of tight. The light was on and I had about 20 miles remaining in the tank. But, you know, you're on the interstate, you'll find some place. There are some lonely stretches back there, but not to worry. Alright, I can see it dead ahead, Mobile Bay, which means Mobile is on the other side of the water. Once upon a time, I used to live and work in Mobile. Very short, just for a few months. But out of college, you know, you're hungry for work, working hard, and it makes an impression. And every time I come through here, which is not very often, I certainly think of my time in Mobile. This town is the home of Mardi Gras. I know everybody associates Mardi Gras with New Orleans, but actually it's here in Mobile. If I didn't have a super long ride today, I would stop in Mobile just to retrace a few steps, but that's okay. I know where I've been. USS Alabama over there. My goodness, that thing has been sitting there for years. We're We're heading west from Mobile toward Pascagoula. Alright, bye-bye to the outside world for a few minutes. Okay, I said I wasn't going to stop, but for what I saw from the highway made me get off at the next exit and backtrack a little bit. Alright, short story. I used to work at the Mobile Municipal Auditorium. You know, it was like the sports arena in any big town. It wasn't terribly large, but it was the venue for basketball games and concerts and all that stuff, and it was kind of the epicenter of Mobile's Mardi Gras. What I saw from the highway, though, was this. Wow. This brings back a few memories. Yeah, I was all around in that building. There's a little bit of personal history that is coming down. Good thing I stopped. You know, if I hadn't come this way, I would never have seen that again. Because by the time I come back through here, Old Municipal Auditorium will be gone. Someday I'll tell you the story about Lionel Richie and a pineapple. It happened in there. I even have somewhere the rolled up plans to that building. They were in a closet and they had maybe 30 sets of plans to this arena. So yeah, I took one. Have it rolled up at home. Nice to have a small trailer because being very nimble and able to make all the turns and go through the narrow streets there, not an issue. There's more video from Mobile and the rest of this day's journey on GPS 2, the place where you can view my extra video, see campgrounds, and much more. GPS and GPS 2. Subscribe to both. Okay, we don't have that much farther to go to exit Alabama and make our short traverse of Mississippi. Well, there you go, a rather muted entrance into Mississippi. Just a little farther to traverse Mississippi than Alabama, but just about 75 minutes or less, a little over an hour, and we'll be through the state. I mean, you look at the map, Mississippi and Alabama are kind of like mirror images of each other. Although I'm going through a small slice of Mississippi, they're long stretches of open road. That looks to be the end of the rain for a while. Coming up on the Pearl River, it's the state boundary here, and central to the founding of Jackson, Mississippi. I'll stay there much later in the trip. For now, it's on to Louisiana. Oh, you get a dump station at the Louisiana Welcome Center. I hear they may have free coffee inside. Yeah, I'll have a cup, please. Thank you. Louisiana will not be as fast to go through. Looks like I've got maybe another 5 hours ahead of me, so I'm saying 6:30. Just checked sundown. It's about 45 minutes before then, so it looks like a dark arrival. Well, I kind of feel like I'm back in DC. This is really the first traffic backup I've hit the entire trip. Baton Rouge. We're going to be rolling all the way to the Texas line. Rejoining I-10, which for miles is elevated above swamps and bayous. A great bit of highway engineering on the way toward Lafayette. You get some great glimpses of areas you likely wouldn't see otherwise. This is Henderson Swamp. Now that is a swamp. It's getting to be late afternoon around Lake Charles. The golden hour light is starting to show off some wonderful colors in western Louisiana. It looks great, but I'm racing against sundown to get to my site in Texas. With the sun dropping low and fast, I can't even see the sign for the Texas state line. But you can't miss that big star at the Welcome Center. There it is. We are in the Lone Star State. This is Orange, Texas. The first exit after you cross over from Louisiana. State Road 87 will take me all the way to Searim State Park on the Gulf of Mexico. And look at this. Amazingly, we still have daylight. The only question is, how long is it going to take to go down State Road 87 far enough to reach the Gulf? Look at that view. Wow. Google said 5:35 p.m. local time, and that's about right. And there's your sunset. Making your fuel. Alright, we're coming into the little town of Sabine Pass. This is the mailing address for the park, so I'm really close. That sign back there said the park is 10 miles ahead. The sign right before it said the road is closed 12 miles ahead. So I think we just keep driving till we run out of real estate. Wow, the speed limit is up to 75. This is Texas. I am getting pelted with bugs everywhere. It's chilly, a few degrees above freezing, and the wind is strong, making for a real chill. You can see all the bugs I encountered last night coming in. Those are mosquitoes. Big ones, too. Everything's big in Texas. Sunrise over the Gulf. Thanks to my long ride yesterday, I don't have as far to drive today, and that means I'll have a decent amount of time to explore Sea Rim. I'll grab a quick breakfast and head out. A very windy, chilly day as we look at the Gulf. The air temperature is in the upper 30s, and with a brisk breeze, it's sending the wind chill pretty low. I don't know what it is, but it's cold. As I head to the west, I'm pretty much staying on Eastern Standard Time, which gives me a nice little time differential, and so it's easy to be a morning person now. I'm awake when it's dark. I have some miles to put down today, not nearly as many as yesterday, which is nice, which gives me the morning to spend here and then the afternoon to spend at my next destination. Still in Texas. Why? because Texas is big. I'm on the very eastern end of Texas, just over the line from Louisiana. If you're familiar where Port Arthur is and all the refineries, this is real close. I see I'm going to have to take this in little stages here because the wind is howling. It is bitingly cold as a result. So I think what I'll do is I'll just make a couple short trips in and out of the trailer and warm up in between. Wow, maybe I should break out the big winter jacket. It is going to get rather cold as I continue west until I hit the Arizona desert, but I have my winter jacket and I guess I'm going to be forced to put it on. These places always look wonderful when you're watching them on TV. My goodness, it is frigid out here. Just so you know. Mosquitoes. How the heck can there be so many mosquitoes out here when it's this cold? The plan was, looking at the clock, I'd take about maybe 2.5, 3 hours, walk around, see the park. I'm still going to do that, but as I mentioned out on the beach, I'm going to have to do it in stages because you can only take so much out there at one time. Well, sufficiently warmed up now, so let's try again. Heavy jacket with hood over the jacket that I was wearing earlier. I'm ready for a few feet of snow now, but this at least is much more comfortable, much more tolerable. Dress for success, right? I will dare say today is not shirt sleeve weather. This campground is pretty basic. It's all wide open. Look at site 12 here. On a nicer day, this could be quite a location. Imagine having your meal out here. Now, there are the mosquitoes to consider. You're right on the water. But is that pretty or what? I'm in site number 5 because site number 5 was the only one available. Can you imagine? It's full now in this weather. So this must be quite a popular spot later in the year. Well, here we go again with the alligators. Enjoy a Gulf breeze while exploring the park's 5 miles of beachfront. Yeah, we got the Gulf breeze today, but I don't think I'm enjoying it so much. Okay, I'm down here along the beach. The boardwalk beckons. Here we are at the path of destruction. In 2008, Hurricane Ike smashed into the Gulf Coast and almost completely destroyed this park. So there is the park headquarters before, park headquarters after. Ike was a Category 4 storm. Category 2 when it made landfall here. It almost feels like a hurricane's coming through now. And you can get a sense what a hurricane might be like blowing through here. I mean, there's just nothing to stop it. You're right on the front line. These are waves blowing out toward the Gulf. For as harsh as the weather seems to us right now, the birds love it. I mean, there are tons of birds around here, very active. And of course, the mosquitoes. Apparently nothing stops the mosquitoes. Perhaps they're the state bird. You have to really appreciate the accessibility here. Well, we know Texas is big.
The wind was so strong, I'll redo this part inside. Yeah, it was big. It's Texas, which itself was once even bigger. Sea levels here were much lower during the last ice age, and the Texas coast was 50 miles farther out. The earliest residents lived across that now submerged landscape and up to the ancient shoreline. Most of the evidence of their existence is lost beneath the waves, although sometimes artifacts wash up to reveal clues about those early people. Also very close to here was the Battle of Sabine Pass. From this park, you could hear the booms of gunboats firing to the east in September 1863. It was the height of the Civil War. Federal troops had hoped to invade Texas via the Sabine River. Over 5,000 federal troops approached the river mouth with a flotilla of gunboats and troop transports. But there stood a small Confederate force of just 46 men stationed at Fort Griffin, and they managed to repel that huge invasion. Back on the beach at the end of the boardwalk. That's about the only other person I see. What do you suppose that is way out there on the water? Even with my winter jacket, I can only stay out here for so long. But it's much better than how I started. You know how sometimes in the summer, if you have a slushie or something like that and you drink it a little too fast and you get a brain freeze? That's what it feels like out here. Still, it's a great day to see this park. I'd come back. Big, wide beach, very hard-packed sand. Lots of tire tracks here. People have enjoyed driving on this one. I don't know. I guess you can, obviously. Well, there's my answer. At least on this side of the beach, you can drive. I'm very tempted to, but then I'd have to unhitch and hitch back up, and I'm not going to do that. Well, looks like the park ranger is out on the beach for a drive. Turns out the water pressure here was rather low, so rather than run on city water, I just partially filled my tank and dry camped essentially, which is fine. It worked. The sunlight's coming in, the counter is warm to the touch, and yet just a few inches out there, it's cold. Cold weather camping isn't bad, but when it's this open and exposed, that's got to be difficult. Oh yeah, that's good. Well, it's almost 9:30 in the morning here, local time. I want to be out by 11, so that gives me an hour and a half. And I'm pretty well set here. I've got everything ready to go in the trailer. I may just do a little work on the computer here. I may actually try to do a trail. That marsh trail, though, doesn't look much different than out at the beach. I'll have to check it out and see. Clearly, you can see the force of the wind, and all night long, the trailer has been rocking because I didn't put stabilizers down. I'm still hitched up. But even right now, standing in here, I can feel it rocking back and forth as if I were rolling down the road at slow speed. There goes another satisfied customer. I thought perhaps I would get the bicycle out and ride around here. Nope, not today. I talk a lot about the Aldi system in here, being radiant heat throughout the trailer. Behind the kitchen here are vents for the heat to come out, but it still becomes trapped in the cabinets, and I've noticed that it gets quite warm under there. So often I will leave the door cracked at night, leave the drawer open, and let that heat come out. Same within the bathroom. It gets very warm in there, so I just have to open the door and leave it like that so that the heat can circulate. You can't really see it, but every gust of wind that hits the trailer, you know, it's got a good little rock to it.
It's pretty strong. I think the wind is hitting it more broadside than it is over the curved roof and back. And you would think I'm a little more aerodynamic than some of these other rigs.
At least the ambient temperature is up a little. Alright, well, call me crazy. I got the bike out. I figured 1 hour, I can cover some ground here. I'm starting to ride toward the entrance.
That's good, because I forgot mine.
I'll continue to a boardwalk that's nearly a 1-mile loop over a shallow marsh. This area is a popular spot for bird watchers, and the whole park is a stopover for migratory birds. Sea Rim is where salt marsh meets the sea, and that's where the park gets its name. Marshes provide food and habitat for animals, and they also help protect inland areas from the effects of storms.
There's some of the refineries way off in the distance. Making your gasoline.
The park sits in the Gulf Prairie's marshes and natural region. It consists of sandy beach with low sand dunes and extensive marshlands further inland. The marsh unit has lagoons and wetlands, salt meadows, and tidal drainages along with 2 lakes. The views along the boardwalk are amazing. Once you get a fair distance out, a couple of areas are available to take a break and enjoy being in the middle of the otherwise inaccessible marsh. White and brown shrimp, crabs, and various sport fishes such as red drum, speckled trout, and flounder thrive in the park's lakes and bayous. The shallow water is above hard-packed mud, which you can see along the edges when water levels are low. Animals that inhabit this park range from microscopic marine life to birds and mammals. Habitats range from surf, beach, and dunes to ponds and brackish and intermediate marshes. The marshes provide important breeding and foraging habitat for many species of shell and finfish. American alligators are native to the park, along with mammals such as mink, river otter, muskrat, raccoon, rabbit, possum, and coyote. In the marsh area, most of the birds are migrants. Ducks and geese with their webbed feet are well suited to the wetlands. In the lakes, ponds, and marshlands at Sea Rim, birders might see roseate spoonbills, common, snowy, and cattle egrets, great blue, little blue, Louisiana, green, black-crowned, and yellow-crowned night herons. And in the stiff wind, sometimes the herons don't fly too far. A mosaic of salt-tolerant plants covers the sand dunes. These plants help form dunes by trapping wind-blown sand, and their roots help to stabilize the dunes. 2 morning glory species, goatfoot and beech, grow on the back beach and dunes. 2 mat-forming succulents also grow here, sea purslane and coast purslane. Bitter panic grass and Virginia dropseed are perennial grasses that also help stabilize dunes. Brackish marshes are moderately saline, while intermediate marshes are nearly fresh. These marshes share features of salt marshes and freshwater marshes. Because of the lower salinity, these marshes have a wider variety of plants than do salt marshes. Plants such as Gulf cordgrass and phragmite cane grow in the marshes. I'm not driving on the beach, but I'll take the bike a mile or so down the hard sand. The land for Searim State Park was purchased from the Planet Oil and Mineral Corporation and Horizon Sales Corporation in 1972, and it opened in 1977. The portion of Texas State Highway 87 extending through Searim to High Island is closed. It was destroyed in 1989 by Hurricane Jerry. Previous storms had eroded the beach, leaving the highway vulnerable to storm-generated surf. Thousands of shells wash up on the beach. It's pretty easy for you to gather a handful. Today the wind is blowing so hard toward the Gulf, the waves are barely reaching the shore. I'll bet you could find larger waves on a small lake. Here we go, inside a giant curl! No, just scaring off a few birds. On a day like this, it's difficult to imagine a massive storm surge in the center of a hurricane with waves over my head. No doubt that will happen again one day here, but it's nice to see nature resets itself after such an event and returns the area to what it was before, and has been for longer than people have been here to enjoy it. With many miles of beach, it's no wonder in comments you read online that visitors say they feel as if they had the whole place to themselves. I don't know what it's like in the middle of a sweltering Texas summer, but this has to be a good place to cool off. Just bring plenty of repellent. If the mosquitoes are so thick in January, it can only be worse later. At least the wind has been the best defense for me today. Despite so many on the front of the car, I've had no bites and none inside the trailer. In September 2005, Hurricane Rita did extensive damage to Searim State Park, forcing it to close. Hurricane Ike caused further damage in 2008. In April 2010, the park reopened to limited daytime use. By June 2014, visitors had restored services at the park, with water and electric campsites just off the beach. You can also camp on the beach in primitive campsites. Reservations are required for campsites with utilities and a cabin. I've only seen reference to one, but not for primitive camping on the beach. Just check the park website for details before you arrive. I rode fairly far out, so I have some ground to cover going back. But this has been a fun morning out here. I'm glad I decided to get the bike out because I certainly couldn't have seen this much without it. And now you've been to the beach, likely from a much warmer vantage point. Hey, check out the wind pushing back the surf. That wraps up my very brief stay but fun adventure at Searim State Park. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along for the ride, and follow GPS to the next destination.